A very good day to you, wherever you are listening to us. You're still tuned into the Integrity Station, Splash 105.5 FM. My name is Tumi Ademujimi, aka Sister Glory of Ladies Lounge. And the show is Ladies Lounge, and the ladies are here, beaming with a lot of joy, ready to give you today's edition of the show.
All right. I thought we would have moved away from that glory, mercy. What's the third one?
Is a reminder of what I am.
Since last. Oh wow!
I'm showing the glory of
God.
God. God,
the glory of Nigeria.
No, please don't do that to me.
The glory of the Naira.
I know. The glory of the Almighty God.
We move. Thank you so much for joining us again today.
Yeah.
It is Ladies Lounge, and we're ready to have another conversation. We hope that your July is going well. I am Ibukunluwa Olaguju, but you can call me Omajuwa.
My name is Folakemi and Tumi. Thank you for always joining us.
Okay, today's edition of the show is actually a very interesting one, and it took a lot of conversations here and there. Should we? Before we decided we were going to talk about this, because we know that you would definitely learn from this particular one. So it is simple. I think it is not very simple, but let's start like this. Is there anything like over communication in relationships?
Yes.
Okay.
To give a direct answer, yes.
Okay.
And for me, over communication would be TMI. Too much information. That's it.
So over communication would be more like oversharing.
Oversharing, yes.
Okay. How about you?
Over communication may be overemphasizing.
Okay.
Yes. You have said it. You want to say it again. I said you are last person. It
becomes nagging.
Maybe.
Okay. So let's dive into it. When does it become over communication? Because we emphasize
just
a lot.
Let's dive. I want to say, let's wear our swimsuits. Let's wear our head cover. It doesn't dive like that.
Okay.
Or look for a lifesaver. You just say, let's dive. Let's get to call with us as we dive.
Come with us as we dive, but let's hope that we'll find someone to catch us.
And before we dive, interesting thing is, as you're listening to us right now, you can be watching us on Facebook and YouTube as well. See us glowing. The page is Splash FM 1055 live on Facebook and Splash FM 1055 on YouTube.
Yes. So let's dive again. So now it's time to actually dive.
If you're not green and going, we have to dive.
Yes,
one of those.
Choose one. So when does it become over communication? I mean, we talk a lot about communication in relationships. So when does it, when do you crank it up a notch and move it from communicating to over communicating?
I think it's when you're saying too many unnecessary things. Because you know how when it comes to relationships, we say that communication is key. You have to communicate to your partner. You guys have to talk about various issues. But when you're saying too many things, sometimes it does a lot of damage to your relationship, because just like every other thing that is done in excess, communication also can be done in excess. Because let's give an instance. Before I give an instance, there are levels in relationship, like we know. There is the talking phase, there is the dating phase, there is the engaged phase, there is the marriage phase. So the phases would determine the degree of information shared
that the person has to be aware of.
So imagine you are in the talking stage, and then you're already telling the person how maybe your mom sometimes feels lazy to cook, and then your dad has to order food or go to bed hungry, and there's some intricacies that probably justify that you may not be able to add to such information. And if you're not careful, if that person was considering maybe serious relationship or things that can lead to marriage and everything, might be giving the impression that the person that brought this girl up is disrespecting the father like this. How much more you? What do I expect from you? So sometimes communicating too much can give the wrong impression about you that you don't want it to, give to that other person.
Okay. Because no, I want you to say what's on your mind.
I'm learning.
Now we talk a lot about having one that wants to date you or be with you, having them know you for who you really are, and there are times when, without you trying so hard to tell this person, they just find out. So when this person figures out, so maybe he comes visiting, and then your mom is saying, to me no food this night because I'm tired and then maybe you now make a joke like mommy or something like that. If the person finds out on their own, do you still think that I have overshone?
There are degrees to things.
Okay, I think
if that person comes to my house that same scenario that we painted, and then experiences such, before such person will come to my house, you would have known more about me.
Okay, so we're just getting to know each other.
Yeah, you would have known that even if the mother is like this, she was not able to get this part of her mother. She's up and doing, she's respectful, she's considerate, she's sensitive, unlike whatever it is that I'm seeing in the home. And because as much as we are a product of where we're coming from, things are now changing. People are now evolving. They are trying not to be like that bad place that they are coming from.
Okay, there's something you wanted to say.
Yes, I was going to say that what you did not say, you did not say. But what you say, you have said, and you are confirming
and it is there.
You understand? So even if your partner discovers a particular thing, it might be, that sometimes you discover some things and you're asking yourself that, was that it? Did I? Or maybe not. That benefit of a doubt. But once you spill it from your own mouth,
it's a confirmation.
Exactly. It now confirms that, okay, mommy man baby pa said that kind of thing.
Honestly, and to actually agree with both of you, I totally agree that there's something called over communication, and it is when you say too much, because sometimes people over communicate when they are scared. Because sometimes it leaves the place of, I want to let you know this. Some people communicate because I want you to know who you're, getting in bed with. Not literally now.
Getting in bed with.
Not literally.
You said what
not
you said.
literally.
You said what you said.
Not
getting
literally.
Yeah. Be born again.
So you want to know the person you're getting in bed with, and you want to know about them. So I'm letting you know that, I might be angry on this day. I might blah, 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 I might blah, 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 blah. But I feel like there's some things that this person should not know. And even if they find out, as long as you don't confirm it, it is there in their head and they will continue to doubt it. But I will feel like there's also over communication in arguments.
Before we even go there, I think one thing that we have to realize is sometimes when I'm telling you about something, or when you're telling me about something, sometimes, especially in relationship, it's beyond what you're saying at that point. I am decoding who I'm trying to figure out that you are. I'm trying to decode where you're coming from. I'm trying to decode whether there's still some angering trauma or some come from you. So those are the things that we have to take note of. Beyond, I feel so lazy today. I just don't feel like doing anything.
But do you not think that it is based on that person themselves? Because while I want to understand that there's some things I might say to you that might be too much for you to bear, but do you think it's my fault that you can't bear it? Because I believe that if we're trying to get to know each other, I would have you know things about me. No, not me.
Is the way Yoruba say,
of course.
The fact that I want to tell you, I want to tell you sorry, does not mean that it's only one way that I have to tell you sorry. Know. Sometimes how I tell you sorry says so much about me. It's just the way they share. The part of sharing your past in your relationship, there's a place of you sharing what you've been through. There is the angle that you share it from. Sometimes when you're sharing some things about your past, it's just, I want you to have this knowledge of this so that you don't get surprises.
You know where I'm coming from.
But there's some angles that you will say it from that makes that person think maybe you're still on over something. Maybe there's still something that you are still going back to.
Or maybe that you're hiding, because hanging over something.
The problem for me here, while I understand that you can over communicate when you're trying to let someone get to know you, I still believe that it depends on what the person is hearing. Now, you can only say what you say. Choose any angle you want. This person will hear what they want to hear. And the reason I'm saying that is there are people who are not emotionally mature enough to handle some things. So it will bring me to, in communicating, understand the person you're communicating with, because they might not be able to handle it. For example, there are people who will be able to handle if as a child one was harassed or abused, and there are people who will not want to touch you after you told them that. But it still goes back to who are they and how receptive do you think they are?
And talking about that, it comes back to what is important to you, right? If I feel like I had a terrible past, maybe there was an abuse in my childhood, and I perceived that if I tell this person might not be interested anymore, so I'm going to hold back. I think it comes back to, what do I want in a relationship that I want? Would I want a partner that is able to understand that I was the victim, I was abused, and now I'm trying to, get my healing and move on? But if I feel like that is important for me to get a partner that will understand that, and this person appears not to be somebody that will be able to understand that, rather not tell that person. Because sometimes you end up regretting in the sense that it might be weaponized against you.
I know.
It might become public knowledge.
And that's where I'm going.
But do you know that you can... I lost my thoughts. You know, you cannot say that someone is over-expressive. Although I agreed with her thoughts in the beginning, but now I'm thinking about it. Why are we partners? If you can't be there for me.
If you cannot take in my information,
and then how do I measure what you can take in?
That's the
At
thing.
least something would have happened once or twice if I know that. What if it was your first time?
For me, the boundary is making sure that you can read the room.
No.
Don't be too much of a talker that you are not listening.
I get
Before you say that you want to share 10 things about yourself, make sure that the person has been able to share 7 as well.
And then I think I will.
So it's not like the person is sharing 1, you are sharing 20.
I think I will say one. Say one thing. So say one thing that is not as deep.
One is not enough for you to gauge whether the person can
the reason I'm saying that is in over communication. Now that see this thing is really broad, and I'm really hoping we are able to cover all of the angles. Because
complex, yeah.
I remember something. I remember something about how that I told myself that I might not be able to talk a lot about it if I have issues with people, with my partner, because before you know it, you're saying, do you not believe that I had this with this person, had this with that person, had this with this person? It might just be you trying to, communicate well that, I'm going through something, a friend and I had a fight today. Before you know it, it's helping you calculate how much of a fighter you are, how toxic you are as a person, and how that he might be the next victim. So you hear that you have an argument and they say, is that the same thing you told your friend? Can you see why you don't have any friend in your life? So there are people who are not receptive. And I think my own would be that.
I love the example that you just gave. Because now you're narrating to the person the fights that you're having,
and the
how
person is affecting you,
and the person will not be there to witness it firsthand, to see that maybe you're even the victim in that scenario. And if care is not taken, you keep on giving that impression that maybe you're the one that has
the problem.
Maybe you're the one that is the emperor, the conqueror,
president general among the nations.
So these are the things that you have to read the room. And this is not because some people, yes, you're listening right now, you might be confusing it with being secretive. Or not being open enough to your partner. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that be able to read the room, because sometimes we have to realize also that it is quality over quantity. Before you share that information, you should be able to process that. Okay, what's the purpose? What's the intention of sharing?
What am I trying to achieve
Not like
with this?
Every nitty gritty. And water I poured on my floor. I was too lazy to clean it. So why?
If water poured on my floor,
people are strong because me, I'm that detailed.
That's the thing.
Me, and I'll tell you what that poured was the half of the bottle that poured. Was when I know what this kind of half of the bottle.
You know what this brings me to? This brings me to thinking that compartmentalizing can be a good thing if one can manage it well. And why I'm saying this is there are times when things happen to you and you know that there's no way you want to share it that you would come out on top. And I feel like that's why for a person like me, I'd rather keep these things to myself. Because there are some things that there's no way you want to explain it that you will not appear like you might be problematic. So I remember sharing something with a friend of mine, and then before you know it, he was starting to analyze it critically. And then I got really angry that I'm telling you something made me feel bad. And you're trying to say, why would you do this? If you had done this, and when I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to you again. But in the real sense of it, while he's trying to, be a good friend, let me know that, you too, you shouldn't have done this. I was expecting some level of understanding, because if I had it, I would know that if he showed it, he would understand that what I'm trying to say is not, I'm not trying to say that I won't take responsibility. I am just saying that this happened and it's affecting me this way. So for someone like that, I know that next time, if anything happens to me and he says, why are you crying? I'm like, this is tears, no, it's just water. I'm not going to share with that person.
But is that healthy?
It's healthy because I realized that for that particular friend of mine,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, friend, he might not be able to handle some things when it comes to maybe emotional vulnerability. I don't know if that makes sense. There are people who cannot handle seeing someone cry. Not because they are not a good person, but they're like, so why are you crying? Like, what would this change? Like, just don't want, stop crying. Why are you?
And another thing
so they can't handle it. Yeah. So while I know that there are people who I would cry 5 hours and they'll be saying sorry. Whenever you're ready, just talk, just keep crying. I will listen. You know that there are people who would not want to hear that sound, and it doesn't make them a bad person. It's just who they are. And it takes me to what Omajuwa is saying about reading the room. So you've read the room. The next thing you want to do there is compartmentalize. Like, I'm sad, but I ain't gonna share with you.
So basically, over communication varies.
It might.
Abby, it varies, and it also has to do with who you are communicating.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a life example that I'm not sure I want to tell you, but I would say is of course I've had 1 or 2 relationships that went
south.
And then there was a time. Folakemi, you talk too much.
Give us.
So there was a time. Of course, I've experienced abandonment before, you know, and then after that, there's now this relationship that I went into, and for some reason, very, very terrible experience and very Emma Bumi. Now, so we went out, and then we went to shop, and he went out. He went out of that particular. It was a mall. He went out of that particular store to the bathroom. So he told the third person that I want to go to the bathroom. And when I finished, I'd even paid and all. I was not looking for him. I didn't see him. That was when I knew that I'm more traumatized from the past abandonment. I was like, oh, this person has
gone.
Left me.
I could not control it. And he was looking at me. And when he came, I said, what happened to you? Are you okay? Are you this? Are you that? I said, I'm okay. But you didn't tell me you were going to the bathroom. He said, no, I told this person I was going. I said, no, he didn't tell me you were going to the bathroom. How would you go to the bathroom without telling me? How did I? And it became
a big issue.
Abandonment. These things are real, but because of this part of the world, maybe. And then for some minutes, I couldn't even contain it. I was just misbehaving. I said, okay, calm down. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm fine. I'm sorry. I didn't tell you I was, and all of that. And I was quiet for the rest of the shopping time, and I went home. And so when we got home, that now it was a new relationship actually. So we now got talking, and he now said, now he understands why I acted out, because he was scared that you know, that kind of thing and all that. So I went into details that normally
he's a good man, no. Because you will tell some people the pepper that you have been to. They will show you greater pepper. No, they will show you greater pepper.
They will actually use it against
They will show you greater pepper.
A friend of mine shared with me how that she got married before she even told. You know, she waited until marriage. You know, when we started, Omajuwa said there are levels. So she waited until they got to the marriage level. And they now said, in fact, my dad did this, my dad did that. And then the next fight they had, this guy says, if I knew you had that issues, I wouldn't have married you. So would you say she overshared? She did not overshare. She was talking to her husband. But for one reason or the other, it wasn't reasonable enough to understand that she didn't tell him because she needed she needed to put weapon in his arsenal or arsenal in his weapon or whatever. I wasn't trying to fuel your gas against me. I was only trying to tell you something so that you understand me. And it makes sense that I trust you enough to tell me. If you're trying to say that, don't say too much. Sometimes we're saying don't say anything. Because
what Mighty just said now has got me thinking about another angle entirely. We're not going to shy away from sometimes people will feel people are sometimes over communicating is because they have some level of lack of emotional intelligence.
That's what I said.
I was having a conversation with a friend recently, and she was telling me about how there was a time that she was in an abusive relationship, and then she came out, she went into another relationship, and each time they would fight or whatever would happen, this guy would throw it in her face that Shebi, what you that they used to beat, where you're coming from, you that you are kiniko, you that used to kiniko. So these are the things that make people shy away from over communicating, you know, telling some things to certain people.
So forgetting that when people do not do that over communication thing, they bottle up and it's not good for their health.
The thing. They bottle up, they suppress, they ignore the feeling, they ignore the trauma, and before you know it everything.
They're more traumatized.
Exactly. So I think my point here would be that while we're saying communicate, understand the person you're talking to, and how would you throw life experiences at them. So I have a friend that went through something. How are they saying it? So I want to tell you that a friend of mine was raped, and then you're saying so kilo what? And for me, I don't even have to read any room. I've seen a whole novel.
The room is at the red.
In fact,
That's a red board. Not even red sign.
We have seen everything, and surely God's grace and mercy have followed us.
So ladies, I would say that yes, over communicate, but use your number 6.
No,
whether
yes,
you're a man or a woman. No, I'm saying that even when you're trying to over communicate, make yourself the not the subject.
Yeah,
you understand? Like saying that, there's this friend of mine that there was a time that this and that. Of course, there are some over smart guys that they will that
you're talking about.
But what I've not said. You cannot tell me you cannot tell me that I said what I did exactly. So sometimes at the beginning of some relationship, and sometimes at the beginning relationship you got to know 2 years. Beginning now Shiwa. God have mercy. So I think you should study your partner.
So
to know and then ask direct. Do you think I'm over communicating?
And then another one that I'm certain of that is over communication, no matter the degree of the relationship is
or the years
that people have been married, not even dating, is saying too much about what is happening in the family that you're coming from.
Family.
Nobody needs to know.
Omajuwa 2024.
People don't need to know.
Nobody needs to know too much about your family. It is you people's issue.
See, you know where I will not really agree with both of you there. I understand that it's you people's baggage, but see, this thing has no manual. So I'll pick it from there, and I will say that there are people who also got to get past their family trauma because of the kind of relationship they found themselves in. Because of the kind of partner that they had.
So Lara, I am all for saying it if it's still going on and you feel like there's a way that this person can come to intervene to help. But saying unnecessary things that has happened or that is even happening, that even if you tell them, it's just telling them there's nothing that they can do to influence it. Why?
The line in my head is, even if the person is a therapist, you know, go hear them.
Because if the person is a therapist, they are still humans. Just like they say that if your doctor, if your husband or your wife is a doctor, let him or not treat you.
Yes, so because
be
even
careful.
if you are, before you will use my story to now say, but so next time you now be telling another person that, please, because at the end of the day, they are human beings, and even if the person is receptive to the core, people have their limits, and you do not want to push it. And one thing I want to say about over communication, or where it also can happen, is during arguments. Now, I'm all for when we're arguing, let's talk about it. Let's talk about our arguments, and let's express it. But I feel like there are times when if you have to sit your partner down every time there's an issue, it makes you over communicate, and it paints you as someone who nags. If it is every time, so every little thing,
over explain yourself.
Every little thing, like I feel like there's something called over expressing yourself, because maybe you feel like this person. No, maybe I feel like if you feel like this person is he's kind. There's some things I can tell him anything. Anytime I'm angry, oti mommy, mama sorrow gon ti ba ti binu. So every time he does something very little, please can we have a conversation? Please sit. So you did this, and I will not take that.
That would be in the category of over communication because
another thing is sometimes communication makes us too serious.
Yes, now like any
there was this joke that I shared
of communication.
There was this joke that I shared this morning on my WhatsApp status. Apparently, there was this man that tweeted that his wife drove his car out and bashed the car, dented the car. So she came back with grilled catfish and chips. Somebody now replied that I can't remember what person replied, but the person said I give her 5K for data, and it was really funny.
He said I said good man. He said if the fish is spicy, give her 5K for data. Yes.
And I went through the comments. Come and see how people were saying too toxic. You will not talk about issues. You keep piling it. So sometimes when they say talk about issues, communicate. It makes the issues that should just be jokes.
It makes trivial things major.
It makes it serious. You're talking about every little thing.
So that falls under over communication.
It makes you
be humorous. Let's bring up your humor.
For example,
babe, what happened the other time?
Your wife has
but some more trivial issues. Depends on how you identify the kind of.
It's even a different thing if the person did it intentionally, or maybe
it was a mistake.
Like it was. They dent your car. Because not sane person
in an
would want to destroy
But at the end of the day, see this world that is evolving is affecting a lot of things. If we don't want to lie to ourselves,
It's just where they say
Because
that when your
people
boy is doing much.
Yes, now because they say communication, every small thing, and we are joko. Why? Because you said that my
Little fight inside the pistol.
like any little thing. In fact, I had to like I came to understand the fact that it's not every argument that we need to sit down. Oh yeah, so what do you think? What do we do? There's some things that you need to sit back and tell you and ask yourself, what should I have done better? There's an argument. Even in friendships, people also over communicate, but we will not delve since we didn't pick up from them. We should not like move too deep into that. But it happens. Like every single detail of your life cannot be in you. You always look for some, and I understand that there are people who cannot keep things. Like
and
they are always excited to tell somebody.
Yeah, sometimes we should.
People should
I
not
think
know.
time helps sometimes. When things happen, don't be in such a hurry to talk about it. Sometimes
Like what things?
Like for instance now, maybe you and I have a fight right now, and instead of being so buoyed up, so riled up, I want to talk about it, I'm texting you, if you're not with me. Sometimes maybe take an hour, take 2 hours.
Let
things
things
calm.
And then,
If I put
and then-
do
and
one
then you see
Mississippi,
that-
two Mississippi,
and then you see that it gives you a different perspective in how
About
to address
it.
this. And
Yes.
sometimes it makes you think maybe it wasn't really that serious.
Maybe I was
So
overreacting.
It wasn't even that
sometimes
deep.
it doesn't make you.
But if you have called for meeting, you have done communication.
You get.
You
Communication
have
the
set
issues.
Zoom meeting for your partner.
They've done kindness. So we're supposed to have a date. So because I did something small and then you're saying you're not calling me, you're not picking my well, it doesn't make you a conversational person. It makes you hot-headed and overbearing. And yes,
To
so
me, to sort dada. They say they don't sort on.
We have to
Honestly,
go.
I agree with you.
we have to go now. All we're just saying is that communicate or express yourself, but everybody has their
Be
limits.
modest in everything. I
Exactly.
mean, don't over and don't under.
Push people.
Be
Don't
normal.
push people. There's some
Normal
details people don't need to know. Like
Yeah.
even if the person is your partner. I mean, you know people that come out and say I went to his house, I did not flush. See, those things FBI will not sit me down. Even if they put my hot water, they will not get the information from my mouth. Of course, it wouldn't happen here. But I'm saying that there are some things that
They're not
people should
needed.
not know. So keep
That's
it
what they call
in.
private life.
Exactly. And it's also a sign of maturity because if your partner knows that any small thing that happens, they will not also share their secrets with you.
And then if care is not taken, you're even giving people so much power. They know what to use to
Over
trigger you.
They can
What to
predict
use.
you 10 o'clock.
And then they can be using you to catch cruise.
Honestly.
She will give you entertainment. She will
Honestly,
rake.
yes, so and then
Disappoint them once in a while,
and
okay?
lucky, and I think a way we can check.
We have to go. We have to
my
go. We have to
God.
go. The show returns next week
It does
Saturday by 5:30 p.m. We hope you're able to catch one or two things. The conversation can continue on Facebook and on
We are always
YouTube.
there to,
So we
you know.
can continue.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my Facebook now. I need to
Splash
put it there.
FM 1055 live.
Yeah.
And on YouTube, Splash FM 1055. I am Omajuwa.
I'm Tumi.
My name is Folakemi. Thank you for watching and listening. Bye.